And let's get into the action for the Sweet 16, looking at arguably the game of the night on Thursday night in the East region. Number 1 seed Duke against 5 seed Arizona. Blue Devils holding steady is about a 9-point favorite, total of 153.5. And I believe you were on the call for this game in Tucson. Both of these teams are evolved from that meeting where Duke won by double digits. Sion James was coming off the bench, for instance. Awaka for Arizona as well, along with some bench pieces for both teams dealing with their respective injuries. But what kind of outcome are you expecting this time around?
Well, Duke's a better team, and so oftentimes you think the better team should win. That doesn't always happen. Arizona is much better now than they were in November, December when that game was played. But so is Arizona. Arizona's different too. And I think a lot of it's going to depend on the kind of offense that Arizona is able to run against Duke's defense. If Arizona is unable to get out in transition and get offensive rebounds, which they do pretty well in both categories, they're going to have to really execute well in the half court. And Duke's a difficult half court defense to deal with because they're so long and so active. Their length, I think, is undervalued in their defensive efficiency. They have a lot of long-arm defenders, and their help side is very good and very active. So if you think you're going to keep the ball on one side of the floor and just make a dribble move and attack that defense, it's not going to work. There's going to have to be, you're going to have ball reversals and cutting and really move that defense. And you're going to have to move Kaman Malawach away from the basket. He's a very good rim protector, lane protector. But their length is considerable. And along with Houston, I think they're the best defensive team in the country.
On that note, how important for this round or for the Elite Eight is it for Duke to get Malik Brown back from that shoulder injury?
It would be really helpful. I don't think, honestly, you could see much of a drop-off when they played Baylor. Baylor's a good team. They're not great, but they're good. And they were never in the game, in my view, maybe the first 5 minutes. But outside of that, it was decided. So Brown just offers them another sort of versatile defender and very good passer that can switch out onto anybody. He, even being out for a number of games, I don't know how many he's been out this year with that shoulder thing because it's happened twice to him. He leads the team by far in deflections. He's just got a unique ability to get his hands on the basketball. Whether you're holding it or whether you're letting it fly in the air, he can deflect it. And but he was all defensive team in the ACC at Syracuse. It was just undervalued because Syracuse wasn't on television as much and wasn't as good of a team. He goes to Duke, and now everybody knows it. And that's one of the things about the portal. Like, some of these coaches get to go to better opportunities, and we celebrate that. And Malik Brown found a better opportunity, and everybody knows his name now. Hardly anybody knew his name beforehand outside of the basketball literati.
One last note on this game before we move on to the other number 1 seed on Thursday night. Caleb Love, the biggest wild card arguably in this game, 1 of 9 shooting from deep in that first meeting where Arizona lost by double figures, but scored 29 points, 5 threes in the round of 32 victory over Oregon, and famously known for taking down Coach K in his last ever game against Duke in the 2022 Final Four. So how do you think Love fares this time around in his last rendition against Duke?
I don't know. You mentioned the wild card status. Sometimes he's an ace, and most times, but sometimes he's a joker. That's how wild cards go. And I don't mean that in a negative way. You just mean that if he's aggressive in taking good shots, he's one of the best scorers in the country. And I usually, the way I look at it, it's just my view. I think you can track how aggressive he is in the most intelligent way by how many free throws he shoots. He's such a strong athlete and such a strong driver. When he balances out perimeter shooting with putting the ball on the deck and attacking the defense and getting to the foul line, that's where he's really in my view, the most dangerous. But the problem that Arizona has is he's going to be guarded by big, strong, long-arm defenders. I don't know who Duke's going to start off on him because Duke does a lot of switching, but I could see Sion James being on him. That's a tough matchup because Sion James can devote all his attention to him without helping off and just try to shut him down. Arizona has other scorers, but they don't have scorers as potent as Love and as likely to go off for 30 in a game. Because, I mean, we've seen him do it, and we've seen him do it against Duke. At Cameron in the Final Four. He's done it before, so he's going to come into that game confident.